The New York Times, they have an article this week about firsthand reporting versus secondhand theories. At the same time, this week, there was a wild story about gorilla. Who wins, the 500-pound gorilla against 100 men? Who do you favor to win in a life and death battle? At the same time, we have
Never in my
Governor
life
Pritzker.
have I called for mass protests, for mobilization, for disruption. But I am now.
Calling for mass protest and disorder. It's hard to know what is the firsthand reporting and what is secondhand theory, but if we have our choice between Mr. Pritzker or the 500-pound gorilla, I'm probably going to take the 500-pound gorilla. Welcome. Welcome to Illinois Bridging Awareness. I'm Stanley Smith here in Chicago. It's springtime. All of a sudden, with the spring green, this tree in a park downtown near where I live, just captured in the morning sun, is a sure sign that spring is finally on the way. The reminders are colorful planters and flowers all around the city. This is actually taken at the concourse level of the John Hancock building this week. This isn't my bike, but also a welcome sign. People are out and about as the temperatures start to rise above freezing here. I am reminded of other signs. I was talking this week with a friend of mine about the famous cigarette billboard across from Marshall Fields in the late 70s. Actually, as I remembered as a kid, actually blew smoke rings into the air. The Magic Kiss sign, other people from Northern Illinois, elsewhere, probably remember the giant lips over the expressway into the city. I remember as a kid being on school trips into the city, and we knew we were near downtown, when we could see the giant lips on the highway. Recently attended a Goodman Theater production of a play called Bust. I had no idea what it was about. I was dragged there by a friend of mine who had a free ticket, and was really well into halfway through that it occurred to me that most of the cast was black, and it was kind of a black themed story, even though it wasn't apparently obvious to me at first. This is the opening scene where they're on a balcony of their apartment, witnessing stop and frisk kind of action, which ends very, very badly in this Alabama community. It also features young people in a high school setting, with the tension between students and teacher, with one of the students actually dragged out for disobeying, disrespecting the teacher. Some of the reviews call this, all too familiar scene of abuse of power. Uh, the play was something of a comedy, oddly enough, um, with many, many complicated social issues portrayed in kind of a cliche manner, which I guess is what made it almost comical. The only white people in the drama was this one police officer and the school teacher. Everyone else was some sort of ethnicity other than white. And the theme of the show was just that, bust. Out of anger and sheer frustration, the principal characters were exemplified as busting out of this reality and crossing over into another one. This is the somewhat of a depiction of that, where the one of the spokespersons from the busted other side of reality described it as being out of context, and our day-to-day living and common culture might be seen as being in context, and then doing something different or seeing things different might be viewed as being out of context. I was out of context this week when I visited a new jewelry store, luxury jewelry store on East Oak Street, Lagano. It's a brand I'm not familiar with, but they invited us in anyway. And it's a beautiful shop. There's actually no counters. It's really a residential living room setting with some small display cases off to each side, and the dining room in the back of the store where they host dinner parties. The day we were there in the evening, they were going to host a dinner party for 16 potential customers. It was a very interesting story. They specialize in colored stones and gems. And it was really quite an experience in visiting this luxury retailer. The idea of luxury brought to mind the definition of luxury as I read it years and years ago that luxury is the abundance of that which is usually pretty scarce to most people. I'm immediately reminded of Versailles, the Palace of Versailles outside Paris. It was an example of an abundance of that which was rare. In this particular case, the engineering of Versailles meant the diverting of a number of waterways to create these amazing water vistas and fountains and features at Versailles. I read an account that apparently there actually was always a scarcity of water, but it was the idea of portraying the abundance, the luxury of the abundance of water. They would have a man run ahead of whoever was walking through the park to turn on the fountains before as they approached the area. So it would appear as if everything was running at all the time. In the play Boston, the idea of luxury, the idea of the Wizard of Oz is a basic plot. Thematic plot comes to mind. We're always kind of captivated by the idea of escaping our current reality into someplace better, just to find out that we'd really rather just be in our regular reality. It's the idea of the responsible reporting as opposed to our personal beliefs and ideas. But truth be known, we're probably more comfortable with our personal beliefs and thoughts. Um, Back to the gorilla, there is no right or wrong answer. If you think the gorilla is going to win, well, that's your personal belief and your personal testimony. If you think the 100 men are going to win, well, that's fine too. There is no right or wrong answer. It's just your own personal reality, your own personal reflection, which is probably more akin to what life is really about. That's what we're trying to figure out here at Illinois Bridging Awareness each week. We have a Saturday call every Saturday at 9 a.m. Central Time on Zoom. I will include my email in the description of this video, and I'll be happy to send you an invitation. And I look forward to seeing you very, very soon.